all-new Pro Mixers Roundtable on Mixing Night, featuring Jeff Braun, Richard Furch, Austin Seltzer, and Ben Thomas. Different mixing worlds unite for a deep dive into mixing styles and techniques, the music industry, and you can guide the conversation by asking us a question live from the chat roll. We have a MixNik 2026 recap from SAE Atlanta. Marcus Manderson brings you the best free plugins, and we give away live a 1-year subscription to Max Martin's Session Studio software.
Let's go!
All plugins from Jesse Ray Ernster's Mixland Audio. Schwab Digital is giving away High Foul and Gold Clip tonight, and Sable Hill drops Lacuna for our community. You must be live to enter, not to win. Jump on the chat roll and ask the roundtable a question. Fire up your studio, tell a friend, it's Mixing Night.
Live. Welcome to Mixing Night. I am your host, Ken Lewis, here with the best dog ever, Mazzy Lewis, bringing the barks and digging into her licking toy right now. Tonight is Pro Mixers Roundtable with Richard Furch, Austin Seltzer, Jeff Braun, and Ben Thomas. No, I'm awake. Yep. Yeah, I'm awake. This is man. These guys have all done so much work that connects with me and probably with you too. And if you are on live stream with us, you must enter the giveaways tonight. See the agenda for the prizes and enter in the description of the video that you are watching right now. Go enter and come straight back, or just open a new tab and never leave us. But we have the craziest giveaways tonight every 20 minutes. Until 9:40 when we drop the Motherload all plugins from Jesse Ray Ernster's Mixland Audio. Incredible plugin lineup. That's going to be the main one, and you can see the agenda for all of the other giveaways tonight. Really, really great stuff. And Control Room, can you guys make sure that Len Kuis is entered in the giveaways tonight? Thanks, guys. Also, if you are live with us, jump on the chat roll and ask us a question. Help guide the conversation tonight. We have people harvesting questions from the chat roll and feeding them directly to me on my iPad right there. So I actually can see the chat rolls right there, which is not moving for me, guys. No action on the chat roll, and I'm betting it is popping right now. So let me know if we can fix that. And my Ecuador 4K looks like it's jumpy as fuck on the screen, so maybe we just go with a static image up there. I would be fine with that. Anyway, it's a live broadcast. So get your questions ready from the chat roll for our incredible roundtable tonight. Man, these guys have so many hits between them and so much knowledge. It's just crazy. I'm super excited to kind of sponge off of all of them and see what they can teach me. So this weekend in Indianapolis, the Canton Bluecoats are in the DCI Drum Corps Finals. I hope to be there cheering them on. I recently produced an absolute banger with the Canton Bluecoats and Anushka Sen. I cannot wait for you guys to hear it. Oh, I just finished it while I was down in Ecuador, and it is just incredible. Absolutely incredible. So go blue this weekend. Best of luck and success. The next, especially the next 2 or 3 singles with Anushka, even Al and the Bee, I'm not trying to make normal records with her or anybody. I am trying to make one-off, unique, incredible records that just sound also like pop records. So, especially kind of in the oncoming age of AI, I want to be producing shit that there's just no way AI could have thought about doing yet. Maybe in 10 years, but right now, no. I'm going to be producing records that nobody's heard, and Anushka is just ridiculously talented. Speaking of which, Anushka just turned 24 in Paris yesterday. Happy birthday, Nushi. And what a place to turn 24 in Paris. So, that's really one of my favorite cities on earth. So, BTS. Did anybody see footage from the BTS shows at the MetLife Stadium in New Jersey? Oh my God. That was just so awesome. And their first surprise song, I guess they're doing a different surprise song every night of the tour. I think their first night surprise song was a song called Disease, which I mixed. Hey! So that was pretty incredible for me to see that they put that. And then second night was Nas. I mean, legendary New York rapper Nas came out to support. And I, of all people, understand just how much Nas means, especially to Rap Monster and August D. That must have been such a high, especially for RM to perform with Nas in the audience. I mean, Army, you guys showed out in New Jersey, and it's hey you, and it's still absolutely nuts for me to see 80,000 people sing along to every word of a song I mixed. That is just mind blowing to me. It's mind blowing to you, isn't it? Did you finish that already? Or you can't be serious. I poured that whole thing full. This girl, I swear, she's, I see. She's just going to do this until I kick her ass out. On a truly, hey you, this is serious now. Lay down. Good girl, stay. On a truly sad note, I wanted to pay tribute to a man I have never met, but that made a gigantic impact on music and humanity. Glen Hansard of the fame Once, won an Oscar for it. And he's only 2 months older than I am, died in a crash last week. I encourage anybody who wants to hear a man who utterly knew how to deliver a song and an emotion, go listen to and watch him. Go watch Once. Go watch his busking videos on TikTok. When you talk about the ability to connect a song to the audience and an emotion to the listener, there was nobody finer at it than him. And apparently he was just this incredible light to humanity for so many musical people, and I just wanted to honor him. And apparently his funeral, I think, was yesterday, incredibly well attended by the musical who's who. Bono spoke, Eddie Vedder was there, Hozier was there, and an absolute who's who of music folks and friends that just gave him an incredible send-off. So Godspeed, Glen Hansard, and thank you so much for all of the music. On a happier note, MixNik 2026 was July 24 and 25 down at SAEATL, and Wavy Wayne and his crew put on an exceptional event. We'll be talking about it tonight. I've got a little recap coming up in a few. Two of my fellow panelists joining me tonight, Jeff Braun and Ben Thomas, were on panels with me and hung out with them, and they're just the best dudes. So we're going to be talking a little bit about MixNik, I'm sure. I ended up doing 7 panels, and the first night I did a 4-hour masterclass, which was a little nutty. Exhausting, but really worth every moment, because I felt like I got to just connect with so many really great creatives at MixNik. And check out MixNik next year. It's in Atlanta at SAE again, probably in July, I would assume. I feel like it's the event for the audio community people instead of the corporations, and all of us that were there just loved it. It's really worth going. Hey, and shout outs to some of the new friends Hey, you. Hey, lay down. Lay down. Good girl. You stay and hush it up. Shout outs to some of the new friends that I finally met in real life, but have talked to for a long time, or actually just met, like Leslie Braithwaite. He and I have been a degree apart forever, met him. Lou Diaz and I have worked on so many of the same records. Ivan from R&D, he's going to tell you to check something important, or maybe he already did. Casey Sable and Eric Hill, Jesse Ray Ernster I got to meet for the first time, Tizio in real life, Doug Katz, Kicks Creative, and so many more. Here's the chat roll. Chat roll's popping tonight. There you are. Track Cats, Dubbin by Dubbin. Who else is here? Classery something. This is Torch. What's up, Torch? We just pitched something for something, by the way, the Radiolarians. Jace Bolivas? Who else is here? Ben Ellery, Josh S. Josh S, I believe, Control Room, correct me if I'm wrong, I just heard a Josh S piece from Josh S. won the UVI Rumble soft synth, which is like a bass processing synth last month, and he made the dopest freaking song with using Rumble. It was so dope. So incredibly well done, Josh. Seamus Cranley. Hey, good to see you, dude. Who else is here? Mixed by Cesso? Mixed by Cesso. What's up? David Castro Experience. JC Flow, what's going on? We just signed JC Flow to Magnetic Music Group, my sync agency. Man, y'all should check him out. He is super fucking dope. I love his songs, and his songwriting and his flow is really epic. Let's see who else we got. Dishonor Records. Is that what it is? Hey you. Mazzy's just saying hi to everybody too. Mazzy's giving the shout outs tonight, right, Maz? JG Musically. What do you say, Maz? What do you say? Yeah, that's right. Woo! It's Ezekiel. What do you say, Maz? That's right, Maz. Woo! We got LaBradford Williams. What do you say, Maz? You gonna say hi to LaBradford? Come on, what? LaBradford? Yeah, hi, LaBradford. All right. I love this dog so much. If you're not following me on Instagram, you are missing the best daily stories. I take this girl walking every morning, like daybreak. And whenever she comes back, she just rolls around on the ground and celebrates like you wouldn't believe. And I've been posting that on my stories many, many days. And it's just the cutest thing. Does anybody have any questions before I bring on the full panel, which is coming up in a few minutes? Any questions you want me to queue up for the panel or something I can answer before they get here? Also, I just got home yesterday. I was down at my place in Ecuador for a week or so and had to escape and reset. I still worked my ass off down there, but I actually had time to read a book and walk the beach every single day and just go. Man, I can walk my beach for miles and not see a single human being. It is absolutely glorious. And I was communing with this young sea lion there. I saw him 5 times over 4 days, and the last time we were hanging out for 5 minutes together. It was the cutest thing. So it's just like you and nature, the ocean and nature and nobody else. It's, I love people, but not that much. Let's get some questions in. JG Musically asks, hey, Ken, what are the best mixing techniques for creating separation in a mix? Boy, I would love to feed that to the whole panel. I may wait on that. For me, sometimes I will kind of notch out frequencies in the mid-range to open up space for the lead vocal, or I might take if there's 2 or 3 layers of pads or something like that. One of those layers I might put a big frequency bell way out of phase too wide with an MS EQ. Just one band in a big wide bell, like at 450 or 2K or something like that. And you can tuck it way back, and if you just mute it, your whole mix just collapses a little bit like this. And if you unmute it, it doesn't really do anything except just make your mix a little bit wider, but still completely phase coherent. I love that trick. Steven Ramos asks, hey, Ken, have you talked about how you let Ariana Grande get away? Could you get away? I didn't let her get away. I mean, I was lucky to ever work with her. Could you go deep on that? Do you mean production-wise? If so, Sonics? No, I don't understand the rest of the question. When I worked with Ariana Grande, she was on Broadway. This was pre-Victorious. And I was the first person to co-write her. I was with her We co-wrote her first EP together. I did all of her vocal production, and it was amazing. I knew early on that she was going to be not only a big musical star, but a big A-list actress. There was absolutely no doubt. When that girl walked into a room, the room changed before she opened her mouth. It's something about her is just so beyond exceptionally talented in every way. And the voice, even at a young age, I would still rank as one of the all-time best voices I have ever worked with. What an exceptional talent and human being. She's just, I adore that girl. And her performances in Wicked were so incredible. Oh my God, I love those movies. So anyway, I didn't let her get away. I lifted her up to the next rung and sent her on her way. The next camp that she worked with after me was the Diane Warren camp. And I remember an email, or not an email, a voicemail that she left me on one of my old phones that I kept for years. I wonder if I still have it somewhere. That was like, I missed her call, and the voicemail was something like, Ken, I just wanted to let you know that I'm at Diane Warren's camp, and I'm working with all of her people, and all of the stuff that you had me doing vocal production-wise is exactly the stuff that they're doing with me as well, and I feel so comfortable, and you did such a... And I was just like, oh, my God. So, stuff like that to me is the best feeling in the world. Seeing her career grow like that is incredible. I think we're gonna go to the MixNik recap, and then we're gonna give away the first giveaway. If you haven't entered the giveaways yet, you can enter in the description of the video you are watching right now. If you're live, if you're restreaming, snooze lose. But we're doing a bunch of big plug-in giveaways now, so go enter and give away at 20 past, and then we're live with the pro round table. Here's MixNik recap.
Here we go again. Here we go again. The difference between you and I'm a god, so send in the best that you got. But me, I'll be gone by the time you arrive. Be careful when choosing the side. I'm a ghost in the dark when I pick you apart. They still trying to catch me, it ain't in the cards. No one can stop me, I'm taking up arms, and I'm coming for whoever say they in charge. 10 out of 10, run it back, we could do it again. What's the bet? Where and when? I'm the best of the best, and I better be 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10, run it back, we could do it again. What's the bet? Where and when? I'm the best of the best, and I'll always be 10 out of 10. Here we go again. Coming up fast, in love with the cash. I do whatever it takes for a bag. We coming back and it's over, ain't no back and forth. And the fact that I'm packing means action for y'all, I'm a problem. Whoever want it, get it on sight, it's like fighting a toddler. Now you a target, I'm being honest. Stay on your side, then they getting demolished. 10 out of 10, run it back, we can do it again. What's the bet? Where and when? I'm the best of the best, and I better be 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10, run it back, we can do it again. What's the bet? Where and when? I'm the best of the best, and I'll always be 10 out of 10. Here we go again.
Ivan, do you have a message for us?
Yeah, check your prostate.
You heard the man.
Back with the Pro Mixers Roundtable. I have an absolute who's who of top current pro mixers with me tonight. I'm going to let them all introduce themselves, but we have Austin Seltzer, Richard Furch, Ben Thomas, and Jeff Braun. We did this back in May with a bunch of other mixers and had just the best conversation all night. So I'm really looking forward to doing this one. Austin, why don't you tell everybody about yourself and we'll move to Richard.
Sweet. So I'm Austin Seltzer. I'm a mixing and by necessity mastering engineer, which I'm sure a lot of you resonate with. I've been doing this for, I guess, professionally over 10 years, but maybe 15 starting in the bedroom. Started out as a producer, moved to Nashville, did the Blackbird Academy, moved out to LA. Then I went into sync. I mixed and mastered sync music for about 3 solid years, kind of just getting my workflow and ears, tuned in. And then during the pandemic, as all of us did, we had to scramble and figure it out. And it was just the perfect time to kind of jump ship and kind of do my own thing, being a mixing mastering engineer. And, it took a while to get the ball rolling, moving from assisting into sync and then moving into like actual artist music. Obviously, all different worlds. And, just through perseverance and continuing to do it and meeting the right people and trying to put as much love into every track as possible, I'm getting to sit here with all of you guys and chat about mixing and nerd stuff, which absolutely makes me super stoked. Yeah, it's pretty easy to say in one sentence. I mix hard hitting pop, dance. That's my lane. Not, I don't deviate too much, even though I've done well on a country song here and there, and I've done some awesome hip hop stuff here and there. Like that's kind of my lane, and generally the harder hitting, more upbeat stuff is just what makes me stoked to get out of bed every day. Seriously, that's what I do.
Awesome. That's great. Richard, tell us about you.
Quick thing. Well, I'm Richard Furch. I came from Berlin, but I've been in the States for too long. And Ken and I actually overlapped in New York for a very long time at the beginning of, my career. He was already established. I did the whole, SAE, Berkeley, then assisting through studio route. I did a bunch of, at the time, hip hop, R&B, but also during the day, Broadways and jingle at a place called Sound on Sound. And then I also finally went like, let me do this by myself, so to speak. And then over the years, this is an interesting thing that Austin just touched on, like, you do the best job for every opportunity that comes up, and then all of a sudden these opportunities choose you. So did I choose to be an R&B engineer? Not necessarily, but that was my exposure, and so I started with a lot of R&B and hip hop. Then I went into a lot of C-pop through another very surprising connection. Then I do soundtracks and like video game soundtracks, etc. Because I always feel like the opportunity comes, you're ready for it, and then you see what happens. You just make it happen when it comes, and that has actually finally, as of like 2 weeks ago, has resulted in Broadway cast albums. And I know Ken just won one of his Grammys for that, so wish me luck that we're
Yes,
doing
sir.
that too. But
Good
this,
luck since we're not competing against each other this year.
I know, but like I've been doing this for a very, very long time. I've been blessed to do it in very many genres, and I'm kind of stoked that it came to be that way. So there you go. Bring me music, and I'll make that sound good.
That's awesome. Ben Thomas, tell us all about you, bro.
What's going on, everybody? My name's Ben Thomas. I have been engineering and producing for, what year is this? 2026, so for 16 years, and then professionally for, this is year number 11. I've mostly worked in kind of the hip-hop, R&B space. I'm from Philly, so I got started working with Jasmine Sullivan many years ago,
Dope.
and worked with Jasmine for a bit, and then I was in the Meek Mill world for a bit, and then what most people probably know me for is I worked with Lil Uzi for almost like 3.5 years, as his main engineer and producer and the whole everything. And then from there, I transitioned, and I've been engineering and traveling with Pharrell for the past 2.5 years. And then outside of that, I still mix records and produce records and do all the things.
That's incredible. Jeff Braun, King of Nashville.
Hey, what's
What's
up?
going on, brother?
Yeah, my name is Jeff. I'm a mixer in Nashville, primarily doing country music. It's crazy though, because Austin, I also started in sync. That was
Oh,
like
hell
my
yeah.
early years of getting some doors opened. So that's pretty cool. But I'm from Minneapolis, went to school up there for like the Pro Tools certification stuff, got a 2-year degree, quickly realized that there's not like a huge music scene in Minneapolis. No labels, no publishers. Transferred down here, went to MTSU, had to start all over again because none of my studio credits transferred.
Oh.
So I already had a degree, was kind of working, but like not working on anything big. Started over, graduated at MTSU, met a bunch of great people, and then we started a little studio in East Nashville, and then just slowly built it to track, edit, slowly started mixing, and now I'm just mixing.
Incredible. I really want to touch on later in the discussion the fact that both of you kind of skipped the recording engineer path, because I get that question so often, and most of our answers are, well, no, you got to be a tracking engineer first. That's everybody's path. But there are ways to kind of skip that line now. Well, I guess I should tell people about me if anybody new is tuning in. I'm Ken. We've been doing the show 6 years. This is over 100 episodes. I got a couple Grammys and a slew of gold records, and I still make records every day. But sometimes I'm mixing, sometimes I'm producing, songwriting, arranging, doing sample recreations, you name it. So every day is different for me around here, which keeps it super, super interesting. But let's get back to skipping the tracking engineer path. I know Ben Thomas and Richard and myself have all been like heavy in the trenches tracking. You guys went the sync route first. How did you connect with sync agencies to get that work?
So I didn't start there. Jeff, did you actually start there?
No, it transitioned from songwriter demos that transitioned into sync.
Nice. I was producing just in a bedroom by myself in Dallas, Texas, just trying to figure the whole thing out kind of in 2009, 10, 11, 12. Then I moved to Nashville in 2014 for the Blackbird Academy, which that's the only recording experience that I really have was in that mentorship program. But I went there knowing that I wanted to be a mixer. So, and I'll let Jeff hop in here for sure, but like, it would probably be very difficult to be a mixer if you don't understand how music is made. Because as a mixer, you are having to tamper with so much of the vibe of a record that if you don't understand musicality and feel and all of that, the numbers don't fucking matter. Nothing visually matters if it doesn't feel right. So, starting out as a producer, I understood how everything was baked, and I was in a band with friends, and I was in the band in middle school and high school. So I at least had that. But yeah, I'm slow as hell on Pro Tools with key commands and all. I work in Ableton, Logic, and Pro Tools. Yeah, dude, nobody's sitting over my shoulder. So I don't feel like I have to go fast. I'm more of like, I'm jamming, I'm vibing, I'm having a good time. Where I know probably you guys Ken, you said you're not fast. Ben and Richard, I bet you guys are ridiculously fast. And I would be in shock, but I'm just like vibing. I'm just having a good time and making stuff sound exciting. And I'll throw it over to Jeff.
Yeah, I was just like you. I did bands in high school, and like we recorded our own EPs growing up and stuff. And so when I graduated college, it was me, Taylor, and Dewey, and we all started a studio in East Nashville. Dewey bought the building, and Taylor and I just collected gear. We had like small collections, but like nothing great, but a couple of like nice pieces, but not a lot. And then we just hustled. Like anybody that we knew that we were friends with in like the band scene, like, could we produce a project for you for dirt cheap? You know, could I play on drums? Could I edit your tracks? Could I whatever, anything to like make a little bit of money? And then slowly doing that for I started to meet more and more songwriters who had pub deals. And in Nashville back then, I mean, this was, gosh, 15, 16, 17 years ago, something like that. You would go in for a demo session and they would cut the song that you wrote, and then they would get like a board rough of that song. And sometimes then they would go for mix, and like, you'd mix the demo. And I'd hear these board roughs and I'm like, I know I've got a lot to learn, but like I can beat that. I'm pretty sure I can beat that. And back then I think like a demo mix was like $1.50, something like that. And I was like, I'll do it for 90. Just thinking like, if it's a 3-way co-write, each writer would be responsible for $30. And that goes on their expense account. They recoup it. And it's like, it's not a tough sell to like give me a crack at a song. Right. And all the guys that were like mixing demos back then, I mean, the guys that were doing it were doing like 5 or 6 a day. And I would spend all day on a song and like just try to get it as good as I could, learn, and then be like, okay, like I'm presenting you this thing. And like the whole demo scene back then was like, you just slap it out, you put it in a template, and it's just all about numbers. And I really like try to go for the craft and really try to like show people what I could do and like care about it. And I think that was cool to people, and they kind of trusted me, and like I got more and more demos. So I did that for years, like a year or two, doing $90 mixes. And then I was so booked out that I was like, man, I think I could bump up to like 120. And then I would like maybe do 2 a day. So like I was kind of making decent money, and I was like, dang, this is crazy that I keep on getting all this work. Met more and more people. And then I started meeting people that were in the sync game, and they were signed to Peer, and Peer has a really good film and TV division. And I met one guy, and we kind of clicked, and he was like a sync kingpin. I mean, he's amazing, huge catalog. And we would just get tons of placements, like hundreds of placements. And I just kind of became like a sync guy in town, and people just sent me stuff, and it grew from there. And then we had so many placements land. Michael Knox, who is Jason Aldean's producer, he actually runs the country pub side of Peer. He had heard stuff and was like, man, this is kind of like a cool direction that you kind of take your stuff. Like, would you try an Aldean mix? Just like spec, like we'll just throw you one and like we'll just see how you do. And I was like, yeah, of course, I would love to do that. Did one. He was like, okay, can you do another one? Did one more. And he was like, okay, can you do 2 more? Did 2 more. And he was like, yeah, can you do the whole album? And then did that album. And that was my first like big country radio success, like #1 hits and stuff, and platinum records and all that. And then the doors just kind of opened up.
That's amazing. I think one of the biggest takeaways that I hear from that is that from jump, you were trying to deliver 100% for your clients, no matter what it personally cost you in time. And in doing so, it really let you tap in much more deeply to what is a great finish line, and how how do you tap into bringing out the most emotion and impact of a song. And if you're just cranking them out as fast as you can, that's not your mindset. But your mindset was like, how good can I be? So I love that story. I think that's super valuable.
That's awesome. I didn't tell you much about my sync path. It's pretty quick. I can tell you, I went, I essentially joined this forum on Facebook, Trailer Music Composers Group, support group or something like that. And I had written some music that sounded kind of trailery, and I didn't even realize, like, we're talking like 2017, 2018 actually. I didn't realize, which I don't think a lot of people realize, that the trailer music is not generally the film score, you know? It is actually either trailerized songs that trailer tracks that were designed just for picture, or you could take a piece of score and trailerize it. Um, I just made some stuff that sounded cool, and somebody from a trailer house, which is where they cut the actual trailer, uh, told me, "Hey, you should look into trailer structure. Like, I think you could really do this." And so I made a bunch of songs that sounded like trailers and trailer structure, and I pitched them to this now defunct trailer publisher, but they they said, "5 of these are shit, but one of these is really good. Can you make an album of this?" And I was like, what the hell is an album of trailer music? But okay, sure. So I made 10 of these songs, and believe it or not, I got like 2 placements pretty quickly, which is decently rare, but 2 trailer placements, and I think they were both for like 8 grand. So 16 grand on each of them, and you get half the money. So I made like $16,000. I was like, whoa, okay, I could pay a rent like this, not realizing how difficult trailer music is. And fast forward, I ended up working in house for them for a couple years, and I moved from being a composer just to mixing and mastering. And when I say that, there's 2 buckets. There's library music, which is you're just creating albums like I did, and those are pitched out whenever a brief sounds kind of like that album.
Right.
And then you've got the customs, which are super fast, same day turnaround, generally a couple hour turnaround. And I was doing most mixing in the library side because there's no timetable, but some customs would come in that needed to sound big and badass and as good as possible. And why I'm telling this story is because I became good at mixing because I mixed somewhere around 50 albums of library music, and where library music is not super great. You know, some people are good, but it's sheer volume. In sheer volume, everybody can attest that uh, repetition is the only way you get great at something. It's the only way you develop your ears, your taste, the tool you reach for whenever you hear something that needs to be fixed. We're not even thinking. You're just gravitating towards, a plugin and where the mouse goes and all. And so I'm saying all this to say for people that haven't gone the tracking route, that sheer volume, however you can do that, just to become really good, efficient, know which tool is right, how to interface with clients and artists and all. I'm super thankful for Sync. It was the unexpected champion. Sounds like for both Jeff and I.
Ben, I really wanted to chat you up about your experience with making any environment work with what you're given and still recording like top tier level records with, setting up inspired workplaces with the top tier artists and producers that you're working with. What are the things that are most important to you in those situations? What are the things that are always repetitive for you? Talk about it a bit.
Just to briefly kind of just quickly jump off what Austin said about volume. I mean, it's the same thing for me, not even like in the sync world, but I mean, over the past 11 years, I can confidently say I've recorded maybe like 6,000 songs at this point. And that's like between finished songs and unfinished songs. Yeah, it's definitely over 5,000 at this point.
Wow.
And it's the same thing. It's like the repetition. It's the not thinking about it. It's, it just becomes muscle memory, and the same thing with like being fast at Pro Tools. That's how it happened. I didn't, it was one of those things where it was like very, very slowly, and then all of a sudden one day you went from being kind of slow at using Pro Tools to like being pretty fast at it, and you don't remember when that happened. But to answer your question, yeah, I mean, I've recorded songs in every possible environment, whether that's on a boat in the middle of the ocean, to in a car, in hotel rooms, in studios, in Airbnbs, in bedrooms. I'm trying to think what else. Outside, that's happened before. For me, I think it's about setting the vibe, and whatever vibe the artist or the producer wants, like that's what we're doing. And suspending this idea of sonic perfection, I think, is also critical. I don't work in the genres that require sonic perfection. I think it's cool when it comes into my genres, and I love R&B and rap records that sound sonically amazing. But I also am not making classical music. I'm not making jazz. I work in hip hop. It's supposed to be dirty. It's supposed to be rough. It's supposed to be gritty. That's where it comes from. So if there's a little background noise, and then there's some background noise, and we work around it. And there's a lot of really great tools that we're able to use. But a lot of the things that you would think that people would do to make spaces more usable, while they might make them more sonically usable, they take away from the vibe. So yeah, could I set up some gobos? Yeah, but the reason we're in this loft is to look out the windows. So like, that's killing the purpose. Now you can't look out the window, we might as well go back inside. So no, I don't do any of that stuff unless I really have to. I mean, I have before. I've made booths out of packing blankets and PVC pipe, and taken mattresses out of bedrooms and stood them up. But at this point, we're about capturing the vibe, and through the tasteful use of AI, not generative AI, but like the AI cleanup stuff, we're able to get really great results.
RX12 and shit like that.
Yeah, or the auto-tune vocal prep is awesome. That one works super well.
That's great.
So yeah, that's kind of me. And last thing I'll say is we travel super light. Every situation that I've been in, our studio setups fit in one Pelican, and can be set up or broken down in 15 to 20 minutes. I mean, we're talking like very basic monitors, throw up a microphone, throw up an Apollo, plug a couple sets of headphones in, 2 laptops, or if there's a producer, if it's just me, 1 laptop, and we're going.
Nice. What are some of the tools that you guys use for like cleanup and stem splitting and noise reduction and pop
that
declicking?
Auto-tune vocal prep works. I mean, of course, RX. We all use RX, and I think the minute that you learn to use it in standalone mode is like a game changer. I don't use any of the plugins. The only plugin I use is, and I imagine for everybody else, is the control, and I guess the monitoring one as well, because I like to monitor my RX through the rest of the vocal chain. So I'll send it to RX, but it's being monitored like through the rest of the vocal chain. The auto-tune vocal prep works really well. It's a little tedious to have to do it track by track, but when it comes to recording songs on boats, it's the only thing that's been reliably able to get the boat sound out.
Wow.
And also the Waves NS1 plugin is a game changer for tracking because it's no latency. So you just throw it on the recording path. It's like a nice little gate, and even that little bit of hum and stuff, it gets it out while we're recording.
Anybody else with some tricks?
RX all day.
Yep.
Yeah, same here.
Dude, I love that a 20-year-old plugin is still killing it. Like some of those old Waves plugins
they're awesome.
What, the NS1?
Awesome.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure. I know that they've changed the algorithm, I'm sure updated it, but still, like the framework of that this late in the game, that's awesome.
Is there a way to export the removed audio from vocal prep, Ben?
You can preview it. I don't know if you can export it. But
so you'd have to kind of record it in real time back in.
Yeah.
Where there's a will. Yeah. Because man, I always go like that. That's once every 5 times it would be incredible to have what you removed as a separate stem. But I guess not always the case. Let's get a question from the audience. Let's see what we got here. This is a great question. Seamus Cranley asks, "Hey guys, how much would you guys say your physical state affects your mixes, like exercise, eating habits, sleep, all of that kind of stuff? How does that that stuff affect how you are creatively and technically as a mixer?"
I mean, it's huge, absolutely huge. Like actually, I don't know if you guys do this, but I do. Like the realigning of my ears during the day. Like this happens to me all the time. You're like 4 hours in, and you're like, something sounds weird. And like I have this thing set up where I'm like, I have this one song. I happen to use "Gravity" by John Mayer, and there's a very good reason. It sounds good, but Manny American did that very good. it doesn't even matter what song I am listening to. This is not a reference, right? But the arrangement happens in a way that it's almost like somebody's unmuting a multi-track. It's kick and snare, and at 11 seconds the bass comes in. At 34 seconds comes in, and so I'm sitting in my template, and when I go, man, tricking myself somehow, I just go over to that song. I give myself a little blast of these 3 moments in the song, and I'm like, oh, okay, your ears just are dark today. For instance, because like your guy is asking, you woke up to you drank too much or too little coffee. These things happen during the day all the time. Actually, I think dehydration actually changes your hearing quite a bit during the day.
Yeah,
I listen
and
to
your
that
perception
song,
because you're so tired.
Right. A song per day. I mean, not the whole couple of moments. Okay, if the tiny bit too bright and distortion in it, then your high end is good. If this comes in round and woolly, your song that you're working on, just realigning, kind of knowing where it's me, and like I'm performing like I should. But yeah, all of they will all affect them.
What do you other guys do? Jeff, I know you are in the gym a lot.
Yeah, and just taking a walk.
I do that.
If you're getting stuck on a mix, take a walk, come back in, and it's like you haven't heard it before. That's usually really good. And then just bring someone in to listen, like in the room with you, is kind of a good one.
I've found sitting in an A&R guy's or a manager's office playing them songs to pitch is the most different way that you can ever hear your mix. It's just you hear everything differently. And
Yep.
And for me, like some of my tricks to know when I'm kind of getting close to a finish line is I'll just push back 3-4 feet and hit the space bar and force myself to stay right here and listen to my mix. And it's just a different experience. And sometimes if you also close your eyes, it's an even different experience. And then one of my own tricks is just opening up the studio door and walking out and turning it way up and analyzing and hearing every little bit until it feels finished.
I know, I'm the wrong one to ask this question, since I still spend the majority of my work on other people's time frames. I don't really always get that luxury. So often we start working at between 5 and 6 in the morning, and sometimes don't finish until we might finish at 7, but sometimes we don't like get to go. There have been a lot of times where like I have to go to work at 5 in the morning, and then I don't leave until 10 p.m. and then I have to go back the next day at 5 or 6. So I'm still very much the like, and I don't drink caffeine.
I've been
either,
there.
So yeah, I'm still in that world. So yeah.
That was much of my younger life coming up as a tracking engineer for sure, and a mix engineer. It was just studio floors, 8 or 9 sessions a week, fucking not home for 3 days in a row sometimes, always traveling with a change of clothes and a toothbrush and a deodorant. And,
I have a little kit in my backpack and never leaves. It's toothbrush. So sometimes you need to sometimes midday you just need to reapply. It just is what it is.
Dude, I love that. I gotta tell you guys one of my favorite studio stories ever. There's this amazing New York rapper and now actress and mogul, Queen Latifah. It was and I was recording Queen Latifah for the Nothing to Lose soundtrack one day, and it was just me and her at Soundtrack Studio B, and it was kind of this long SSL console, and at the end of the SSL there was the booth, and she was in the booth in this like sports jersey, and it was midsummer. She was sweating her ass off, and she, second she gets behind the microphone, she's cracking on me, and I'm from fucking New York there, so I'm cracking right back at her, and we felt like old friends in about 30 seconds. And at one point Latifah says, she's like, man, I'm dying in here, it's hot, and I'm like, I got a t-shirt. I always travel with a clean one in case you want one. She's like, word? I'm like, yeah, you can have it. So So I had this Ampex 456 black T-shirt, and she borrows this thing, and it was my size, but on her it was just like pulled super tight, and she was just wearing this black T-shirt for like 3 hours, and friends were coming in and out of the studio. It was the craziest thing I ever saw. But that woman is a genius, and she has the absolute best voice, and just the few times that you're ever with an artist who is just absolutely on point and carefree. Like, first time I ever met Jewel, I never recorded her, but I met her at Chung King one time, and she walks over and sits down on the couch on the other side of me, and just looks over and cracks on me, and I'm just like, no, you didn't. So, oh man, this industry can be really fun sometimes. So,
The things
what
that
are
you
some of
don't
your
get
guys'
whenever
favorites?
you're a mixer by yourself, not being a tracker.
Yeah, that is true.
Any-
What are some of your
any
guys' favorite?
spot that you can sleep in a studio, I've slept in it.
Likewise, under a
The
piano.
best-
Yeah.
The best spot, if you can.
Yep.
Back when I was working with Uzi, we worked from 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. 7 days a week, and a bunch of his friends would be around, so just fighting for the best spots. Of course, the couch, but he was usually sleep on the couch. But especially in the wintertime, the best spot to sleep in a studio is behind the console, by far the best spot. It's warm, it's dark. Yeah, if you can steal a spot behind the console, your money. Yeah.
1,000%. Especially if the couch has cushions that you can take off and put back there behind there, so you
I had
have
a
some.
pillow. No, I had a studio pillow and blanket.
Oh, okay.
That I had my assistants at Jungle stash in a special closet so nobody else would know where it was. Oh no, I came prepared.
Nice. That's fantastic.
This is like, I didn't go to college. This is almost like me hearing, like, whenever my friends have crazy college stories, and I'm just like living vicariously through it.
Oh man, yeah, I've done everything in tracking and mixing land. Yeah, it's been nutty. Richard, what's some of your craziest studio stories?
Oh my god. Off the cuff, give me a second. Jump on somebody else. I'll be right back.
Jeff?
I mean,
I don't really have any crazy ones.
Oh, man.
I didn't do the tracking thing like you guys did. My mix room is in the house, so my life is pretty chill.
I'll give you a in-the-house mixing story. I get a call from the G Unit head of A&R one night at 9 o'clock, Dre McKenzie. And Dre calls me up and he's like, Ken, what are you doing tonight? And I'm like, Dre, whatever the fuck you want me to be doing, brother. And he says 50 Cent is on his way to your house right now. And he needs to mix a song with him and Jeremiah, which turned out to be Down on Me. And he arrives at midnight, and he hands me, this is back in the days of data CDs. So he hands me a data CD, and the first thing he says is, we got to cut a vocal before we mix. And me, with my tracking experience, I had the vocal mic set up, the headphones checked, I was ready to record and everything. And I also, he had to walk up the staircase full of plaques on both sides. So by the time he got to the top of the stairs, he had seen a bunch of my big credits, and he knew that I wasn't fucking around because I had the microphone ready to go. We cut verse 1 on Down on Me, went straight into the mix. We mixed, it was over 100 tracks. He was there till 5 o'clock in the morning, and the mix was just a few tweaks away from being finished, and he leaves with a big smile on his face at 5, and I finished the mix at 5:30. I think our recall was one tiny thing, and we were done. And then it was on the radio, and I've never seen a song act like that. It was on the singles charts, climbing every week for 6 or 7 months straight. I've never seen anything like that. It was just an enormous hit. Another fun fact.
Can I add something to that
Yeah.
story real quick? So I know I think we spoke about this privately, but you then posted a video about that mix, and that was like one of the first YouTube videos talking about mixing at a high level. And I remember watching that when I was in high school.
Fucking mind-blowing, dude.
And that video was one of the first things that really inspired me and taught me something. I vividly remember watching that video. I probably had to have been in high school.
I remember this video too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that video
that's
was
so sick.
critical for my development as an engineer.
You know how I got the rights to do that? Dre, I called up Dre McKenzie one day and I was like, I want to come play you a bunch of records that I was producing. and writing. So I'm in his office and I play him like 4 or 5 songs, nothing sticking. And I play him this kind of more of a pop record called November Skies that I had written, and they were looking for a first single for their artist Leah Sunshine at the time. And by like the end of the first chorus, Dre is jumping out of his seat and screaming, and he's like, "This is the first single, and blah, this is amazing." And then they offered me the production fee, and I was like, "Guys, I mean, are you serious?" So I said, "Okay, I got an offer. If I can do a 3-part mix series for free just on my YouTube channel." Using Down on Me, then I will give you this single for Leah. And we made that trade. And it was one of the best trades I have ever made in my entire career. That video launched my school at the time. I had audio school online for a long time. And that video really helped launch my career. And, you know, I have used the barter system in my career to such great effect. I bartered for 2 of my Grammy nominations for CeCe Winans' Pray. Got one for single and best gospel album. And that was barter with a friend. I mean, you can really get shit done if you just, you know, trade favors with the right people and the right circumstances. So
that's a great lesson.
How are we doing on time? In about 5 minutes, I'm going to spill to Marcus Manderson, Mixing Night Man of Mystery, but we got about 5 more minutes. Were you talking, Richard?
Yeah, just a quick, like maybe a crazy story slash maybe also insight in that whole tracking craziness overall. When I first met Prince on a Saturday, right? He's like he had heard my work, and it's like, okay, I'm in need of an engineer. So we are in a meeting on a Saturday. He's like, so I like this and like that, and I'm having issues with this and that. This is why I'm getting the gig, possibly, right? And obviously, I was like, I want to get the gig, whatever you want. He's like, okay, you sound smart. I like what I heard. So we're gonna record we're gonna start recording the album tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, where are we going? Like Sunset Sound or what? He's like, no, here in this house. And I'm like, do you have a studio? And he's like, no, we need to do a full band session, drums, bass, guitars. By tomorrow, you need to bring, this was part of the discussion, you need to bring at least 20 Neve Mike Priest, because that's what I decided was his issue, whatever. And we built that, and we're gonna track on Saturday night. You're in a Sunday, and I'm like, oh shit. As I spent that night, Saturday, calling everybody. It's like, I need somebody to rent me these mic priests, and 20 mic priests, 20 stands, cables, basically the entire studio. I need to build it tomorrow, and we build it in one of those home cinemas, right? We built it up there. So like 3 to 4, I built a studio in Prince, and like we recorded 8 songs, and that was his album. Sometimes it's crazy, as in you just say yes, figure like, but next I couldn't promise this, and then we just go on from there. Like the same thing. Like we're just serving the music. Like, you know, make a vibey thing. We could have gone to a studio. Maybe we should have. We didn't that day. So yeah.
Sounds crazy.
Austin, what's like a super challenging mix that got thrown at you? Actually, you know, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, because you've got some really great experience with this, is I wanted to hear your take on the difference, if you have any, between an approach on a US pop mix and a K-pop mix.
Yeah, I mean, they legitimately couldn't be any different, even though they're a similar genre. Yeah, so with K-pop, I mean, starting right off the bat, whenever you're negotiating, there's no points. You know, you're gonna. That's not entirely true. There are, I think, big hit, like you can get points, but let's just blanket statement say that K-pop is pretty much a buyout. Right off the bat, there's that. Then, if it is somebody like Cat's Eye, like whenever I worked with Cat's Eye, it's Dwilly, who's an incredible producer. And then Bart Shudell, I love Bart. He's a rock star vocal producer, engineer. So you have like a very US based production. And so whenever that came in, it sounds like the rough. Now, every other K-pop song I've pretty much worked on across the board, it sounds nothing like the rough except for the beat, because generally the beat will come from a US producer and they are exporting stems. And I think they're told in such a way like there shouldn't be much bus processing at all. This really needs to sound identical from stems to rough. But the vocals will come in. Tizia said it on that last talk you guys had. You'll get the demo rough that has the demo vocals in it, and then you will get the vocals that are pretty much dry. They're tuned, but they're dry. There's really nothing baked into them whatsoever. You can't generally get a session. Sometimes you can, but again, everything will be wiped off of it. And then they will want you to recreate all the effects, the distortion, the whatever of the demo, which is probably slammed. And I'm the king of slamming stuff. I love doing that, but in a very tasteful way. We're talking like crammed into a limiter. So it has a very particular vibe that they do actually want.
Yeah.
Like it's not.
They fall in love with it for sure.
They definitely do.
The pump and the push. You know, that's one thing that we touched on in the May roundtable was, you know, everybody's like, well, you know, why do they gravitate towards the feel of the rough? And a lot of times, I think you've just tapped into it. It's that slight distortion and push and pump that the roughs have when they're over pushed, that they fall in love with the feel of the pocket and the groove. And when you don't give that to them, the record doesn't sound the same. And it doesn't, more importantly, it doesn't feel the same. And I think that's where the challenge is for us with a rough that comes in that's fairly solid, but still needs work, but might be over pushed. And you're just like, how do I? And then, like you said, half the time they want all of the same vocal effects, but they don't bake anything in. And yeah, it's a consummate challenge. But I feel like that's a good buffer for guys like us to make sure that we keep getting those type of mixes.
Definitely. You need to be very good at recreating. And that's an ode to my sync days because there was this whole saying, we need the same, but different, where they give you a track and you need to recreate that, but without the rights. So, yeah, I mean, a couple other quick things that definitely differentiate it. In America, I feel like we like the vocals to sit in the mix and, of course, have their own space. But we don't, unless your Hips Don't Lie by Shakira, want the vocal to be 6 dB in front of the track. Like, that was an era. The Katy Perry Firework, you know, like a vocal that is definitely way in front of the mix. That was an era. That is still kind of the era in most K-pop. Now, there are definitely tiers to it. Like, your superstars are not like that. They're closer to Western pop. But some of the smaller stuff I've done, you know, J-pop, K-pop, they want the vocal to seriously sit in front of the mix. So, essentially, I would just summarize it as get your mix feeling exactly the way you want and legitimately go to your mix your music bus and probably your drums bus and just turn them down 2 to 3 dB. And like that sounds so weird and so counterintuitive, but that's where they really want that balance. And the final thing on there is knowing if this is an hyphen cat's eye type mix where it's going to be more aggressive. They like the distortion. They like it really hard driven, or is this like a more dainty boy or girl group? Like, are the mixes softer? And just listening to their catalog and understanding that, because that's a big deal. And last but not least, you cannot whatsoever deviate from the rough in that genre. That is unfortunately the pure North Star. We're in America, they will say like, hey, I want an elevated rough. And that still gives you a little bit of wiggle room. Over there, do not take liberties. Do
This
not take
this is
liberties.
this is not my experience.
Yeah, that's what I heard on the last
Some
thing you had.
Yeah, some of this is my experience. There's definitely some groups that like you better use the rough as your North Star. You can kind of beat it a little bit and make everything clearer and bigger, but it better really feel like the rough. But like in specifically like in BTS land, sometimes I'll be really inspired by the rough, but there's some of my favorite BTS mixes. I definitely deviated from the rough a lot. And I've done that and lost, and somebody else beat me, and I've done that and really won and gotten a lot more mixes out of it. But I also think BTS always hired me because I was an American, specifically an American hip hop mixer, and most of my BTS stuff has been with the three rappers, Suga, J Hope, and RM. So.
But I think that, like, I haven't worked with them, but I think it's what I was saying is that they are so much more westernized
Yeah.
that you get that freedom, which is so cool. And I think the more K-pop, J-pop oriented is, the more the clamps are on the project. That's at least my experience, but I've never worked with BTS, which
I
I'd love
wonder
to.
if other K-pop people that hire me to mix for them are doing it at least occasionally because I have had such leeway with BTS, that sometimes they're looking for that. But there are definitely times where they want the rough enhanced, and that's it. I know, Jeff, you've talked about this a lot. I want to take a break, everybody, and I want to give us like 4 minutes to chill and reset and come back while we have Marcus Manderson, Mixing Night Man of Mystery, giving all of our community the best free plugins you can find anywhere. Guys, don't log off. Just come back in 3 or 4 minutes. And then, Jeff, I want to hear from you. So,
cool.
All right, fellas. We'll see you in a minute.
What's good, Mixing Night family? This is Marcus Manderson, Mixing Night Man of Mystery, back with another Mixing Night Man of Mystery moment. In this Mixing Night Man of Mystery moment, we're going to talk all about some free plugins that you can check out. Before we get into that, today happens to be a couple of days, and at the time you watch this, it'll be the day before we actually make the move to Atlanta. We are moving in a couple of days down to the ATL. Still figuring out some stuff with work to see if I can transition remotely, and but the goal is to focus on music full time, go down there, dive in, no backup plan, no safety net, taking a leap of faith. And thank you to everyone who has reached out. Once we figure out, get settled down there, it's going to take a couple months just to get settled. We got to find a house. We're essentially homeless. This is our house. We've been in the last 13 years, grateful for the opportunities and everything and the memories and everything. So life is lifing. So let's get to the free plugins. First, we have Nullify, is what you can use. Hear your song on Spotify before your fans do. So definitely check that out from the Boomer Hotel plugins. Then we also have a Purified Liquid Death Snare, a free sort of plugin to mix your snare, top, bottom mic, Shell U47 has different mics that you can put on your snare. This is a free for a limited time, so check that out. Then we also have Plugin Boutique, Bloom Synth Analog Light. There's a free code you can use to knock this $19 down to zero. That is limited time as well. Definitely check out Plugin Boutique and the Excite Audio suite of plugins. Then we have Partial String, a free instrument from different instruments. This is a analog modeled string modeling synthesizer, string synth, so definitely check that out. Then we have two from Crow Hill Company. We have Pocket Strings, and then we also have the harmonic piano added to the free Vault series. Check out the Vault series. These are limited time plugins that you can access for free. Then we have a free reverb from Musical Entropy. This is called Voyage, shimmer reverb and drone instrument, so definitely check that out. Then we also have the Remo Devico Composer. This is a time stretching element called Loom that allows you to time stretch your instrument for making textures and drones. Next, we have Tape Machine from Dusk Audio. This is a tape machine emulation from Dusk Audio. Check that out. Then we have another addition to the Blueprint series from Fracture Sounds. We have Textural Sax. Check out all of their free instruments as well. They have a lot in this series. These are all free. Then we have another free offering from Sonoscore called Elysian Elements, a free hybrid synthesizer. Check out Elysian Elements and some other free series plugins that they have in there. This one's a weird one. This is Sugoi or Sugoi Audio Curva. It turns any sound into a swerving shot across a stereo field. It's interesting to look at, like a little game you play. You can draw in the trajectory of the ball and things like that. So kind of fun. Check that out. Then we have Dagon, which purports to be sort of like a new age Soothe. So check out Dagon or Dagon. Check that out. Then we have a free delay from UJAM. If you subscribe to their newsletter, you get a free delay called UFX delay. Check that out. Then we have Imagine plugins. So this is where you can use sort of an AI infrastructure to build, sell, and design the plugins that you've always imagined. You can check out Imagine plugins. There is a model, like once you build it, I think there's limited to how much you can distribute, and then you can sell it for a certain price. So you can check out the free version. Then they have different models here for how you can monetize your plugin. Then we have a contest from Audio Imperia. This is limited time. You have about a week left to enter this contest. Composing challenge. So you can find out information on this. I'll include a link to this YouTube page. You can also join the Discord for more information. And then last but not least, the Level Up Sync Conference is happening this Saturday, literally 2 days after we get to Atlanta. But this is a fully virtual conference, all on Zoom. You can check it out. Use the code INDEPENDENCE for 50% off the general admission tickets. There are over 25 sync agents, music supervisors, sync libraries, music creators, producers, composers, beat makers, singers, songwriters who will be at this conference on Zoom, fully virtual. You can also get a bundle ticket for the September 5th in-person meetup with music supervisor Ashley Newmeister, who works in the Proud Family, Ruth and Boaz, Beyond the Gates, a bunch of other Tyler Perry projects. So August 8th, September 5th, a lot happening coming up. And you can find out all of this information on the forum. Just shoot me a DM, shoot me a message, and I'll send you a link to this plugin list, which includes the ones we just went over this month and some for the last few months as well. Check that out. Be mindful of the limited time offers. Check those out before the time is no longer here. This is Marcus Manderson, MixNight Man of Mystery, with another MixNight Man of Mystery moment. Be safe and be well, everyone. All right? Peace.
All right. We are back, fellas. Thank you, Marcus Manderson, MixNight Man of Mystery, for all of the free plugins. Marcus is moving to Atlanta to reestablish. Best of luck on the move, Marcus. Sorry we missed you at MixNik. Speaking of MixNik, Ben Thomas and Jeff Braun were both down there with me at MixNik. I ended up doing 7 panels and a 4-hour masterclass the first night. I told Wavy to load me up. I had no idea. So I show up and look at the schedule and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to be here the whole time. This is going to be fun. But I ended up connecting with so many creatives. I really thought that was just a really cool event. And really great to connect with so many like record makers who were just trying to learn, and with so many record makers who are really high level guys. I love that event. Jeff, Ben, what was your general experience and takeaway from MixNik?
Oh, I love it. This was my second time. I went to the first one. I've known Wade for a while, and yeah, I love it. I love getting to share good quality knowledge. I think there's been so many people who have shared low quality knowledge over the years and still continue to share low quality knowledge, and I like to be on the side of sharing good quality knowledge. And something that I really try to do every time I go is I tell Wayne, I'm like, listen, I'm not uttering a single word about mixing while I'm here. Ask the real mixers. I am only here to talk about tracking because that's what I do. I mean, again, I think I can mix very well, but that's what I do, and I think that is both a void in knowledge and a more realistic, applicable knowledge for the crowd. Everybody wants to hear about how Ken mixes Kanye songs and how Leslie mixes Cardi B songs, and like that's awesome. But the more realistic thing that might happen for you is that you're working at a studio and insert big artist walks in because they're on tour and you don't know how to set up a session and you don't know how to record somebody well and how to be in a session, and so that's the only thing I ever want to talk about every time I go.
All right, Jeff?
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, I work in country, but I predominantly listen to like R&B and pop stuff, so I always love learning about those genres. And seeing what Baines is using, seeing what TZO is using is cool. There's a couple plugins that I saw that I'm like, yeah, I gotta try that. And on this mix I'm working on right now, I'm doing the Lumo into V clip into orange clip like TZO is doing. It's pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah, I found our dinner out at, was it Cuts? the night before the event with just like 7 or 8 of us that all do this, and just being able to kind of shoot the shit and exchange ideas and catch up with each other on personal levels and meet new friends. I just felt like it was such a great event for the people, whereas I always feel like AES and NAMM are kind of, it's for the corporations and the people find our own community there, but it ain't really for us. It's for us to spend our money on them.
Yeah.
Whereas MixNik is for the people, by the people, and I just couldn't believe the level of high quality people that showed up across the board was exceptional, and what great access all of the community of people that showed up for the event had to us to be able to ask us questions and have direct talks and stuff like that. It was really a phenomenal event. I really liked it. And shout out to Young Guru. I hadn't seen him in the flesh in years, and his DJ set to close the night at the Tree Sound After Party was legendary. But much more importantly, Guru did this how to build something class. I can't remember what it was, like how to build a preamp or how to build a circuit board. I'm not really sure. But he just brought so much practical knowledge and hands-on experience to at least a couple dozen people at MixNik, if not double or triple that. I don't know how many classes he did, but really I just love seeing that. Also, I love his opinions on AI and AI usage in music. He's brilliant on the topic. But the way that he spreads his knowledge is just exceptional. And his DJ set was, he would play like the original records that the samples came from, and then he would play like the big Jay-Z record or something like that that used that sample in a flipped or cut up way. And he would talk about it so that people could kind of understand the education of where hip hop came from and where DJing came from. It's fascinating. He's brilliant. Anyway, so that was my experience at MixNik, was just really connecting with so many different people, and the exchange of ideas, even like in the green room. Just interacting with everybody really kind of gave you these deep insights into people that I've admired for just so long. I got to meet Lou Diaz and Leslie Braithwaite for the first time. That was mind-blowing for me. Ivan from R&D and I hung out a bunch. I haven't met him in the flesh. It was fun. So, I liked it a lot. Let's see if we got any questions from... can you guys feed me more questions from the control room, please?
Let's get nerdy.
Let's get nerdy. What's like the most crucial piece of gear on your mix bus that you would not want to trade? Not everybody at once.
My mix bus isn't like a set and forget thing, because I'm working out of producer sessions. So like I'm really working with what they have built. So it changes almost every song. I wish I did have something that just never changed and it was always the same thing, and I could just not worry about it. But I don't know. I mean, go ahead.
So you take in what the producer had and just go like, okay, I see what you're doing, and then tweak from there. Is that just for clarification?
Yep. Everyone is so keyed into how it sounds, and so many of the producers could honestly just send their mix to mastering and like it would be fine. It would still be a hit if the song's a hit. So it's just like, can I get an extra 5% out of it? And it's just working exactly how they have it sent.
Can I just say something about that? Maybe this is a topic, just to, not to veer away from what's on everybody's mix bus. I actually had this conversation yesterday with this producer that I work with. Him and I, we co-produce an artist together, and we made an idea, and I was mixing it last night because the artist A&R doesn't like to hear rough, so I just kind of have to mix every single song that we do as we do it, which is fine. And he was sitting here and he was like, yo, I want to like sit here with you more and like learn about mixing. And I was like, brother, this is not what I do on the regular. This is a very different, like, there is no rough. We just made this song, and you and I, and the artist, of course, but you and I have full creative say over what this sounds like. So yeah, we're like adding plugins, doing effects. I was like, bro, most of the time I'm getting sessions from people and like taking what they have and trying to like make it a little bit better, but still the same. And I think that is, to me at least, and I think that's important for the audience to hear, it's like a fundamentally different skill than taking dry stems essentially that we just exported from Ableton and building this song, but to be able to take something that's already done and try to make it a little bit better. I would love to know how everybody else approaches that, because that's honestly what all of our jobs have kind of become, at least I think so.
Yeah, and it's a
Maybe not
different
Ken's job,
job. It's a different mindset than mixing was even probably 5, 6, 7 years ago.
I'm still
Like
in that mindset.
Yeah, I wish I was, because you could put so much more into it and like have more of a like sonic, like how I know how I want it to sound.
I
and make that come
totally
out of the
get.
speakers.
I totally
can't
get
do
your
that.
parameters. Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm, there's definitely times where I'm very much in that same boat. So I certainly understand it. But I at least always attempt to faders down to start, and I'll compare to the rough all the time. But I'm always starting with the rough as my compass point and my direction, and then I'm going just with my gut, and then I'll always A/B, and almost always, even late in a mix, there's going to be something about the rough that I still go like, damn, that shaker is so dope the way they did that, I'm going to match that exactly. And there may be certain other things that I match exactly to the rough if they have a certain feel to it, but for the most part, I'm going to go with my own gut, and then I'm going to compare it to the rough. And sometimes I get to the end and I compare it to the rough and I'm like, oh, I missed. Oh, fuck, I missed. I need to go back and I need to really get it closer. But usually it's like I'm surpassing the rough in the first hour, and then it's just bringing the most musicality out of it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, certainly, I know what the plugin is. I don't know where you guys are on vibe coding plugins, but I've been very interested in this for a bit now, and I have a plugin that I vibe coded that is basically just an upward compressor, just a low level information upward expander, and it is the last thing on my chain. It has no ceiling. I don't use a limiter on a lot of mixes. I do on some. It's genre specific or what the song is wanting, but this thing that I vibe coded, it has done something that no other plugin can do. All plugins that seem to have an upward compressor also have a ceiling where information can't go any louder than that ceiling. And I can't live without this now. I absolutely love it. And I'm where Jeff is, and Ben, what you said as well. Like, the rough is the North Star, because I feel like everything I'm working on, the producers are so damn good. But the first thing that I will do is I will turn off literally everything on their mix bus and just listen. And if all of a sudden the life comes back in the track and it's moving around, then I know, okay, I'm gonna have to unfortunately go under the hood and hope that I know it's going to sound great to me, but that they love it as well. And usually I'll have a phone call with the producer and we'll just talk about that. But that's where the mix always starts for me is this mix bus pooling all of the energy and what the track is wanting to be vibe wise, bounce wise, particularly the bounce and the breathing, and go from there. But I could never faders down. I wish I grew up with that mentality. It's just, I'll lose any mix whenever, or maybe I think I will, if I start that way.
Yeah, I find my approach a very old school approach.
I love it though. That's sick.
Yeah, it's very fun. I remember like the first time I ever saw an Andy Wallace mix finished on an SSLG, and if you looked over at the patch bay and you looked at how many EQs were engaged on the console and how much work was done on those, and you looked at the amount of outboard that was used, which was almost zero. uh, you would be like, has he started yet? Just
Hmm.
by visuals. And I'm not kidding. Like, it didn't look like he had done much at all. And then you press play, and the thunder that came out of those speakers was so incredible, and the musical experience was so powerful. And I kept seeing top mixers repeating this over and over. Andy Wallace mixes kept being so simple every time, but so connective. And then I would see all of these other top mixers that came through Soundtrack when I was a young tracking engineer and young assistant. And then later on, just guys that I was friends with that just didn't do much except, and that just taught me like balances are 80% of the mix. And, so I learned how to balance things very, very fast. So I like to kind of build the house first, balance everything really fast, evaluate as I go, always compare against the rough so that I have my compass point or my North Star if I need it, and build very fast and then slow down as the song starts feeling like a song, and do minor adjustments for hours if needed. Sometimes it just comes together and you know it, but and I think that's one of the hardest things for all of us to have learned in our careers is, how do you find a finish line? Does anybody have any, like, this is what my best advice for helping me find the finish line was when I was a young mixer?
Interesting. Actually, I just wanted to like quickly say I'm somewhere in the middle of these two. Like I kind of take whatever comes from the client, but I have it recreated meticulously, either me or my assistant. We put it together so that it sounds the same, but it actually hits my chain, and it's not a magical chain, but the way I predict it hits my chain. So it's my gain staging on their musical idea. And then I know, okay, well, if it hits me there, I can function. I know exactly what every processor does exactly, even though I might not see even the gain reduction meter. I just know at this level it does this. At this plugin, it just opens it up a little bit like this. And my whole philosophy is like, what you gave me sounds like this. Sounds musically perfect. You are doing a great job. Every producer and artist is really good at balances and levels because they're musicians. They should be. That's minimum requirement, right?
They know how they want their song to feel.
Exactly, and they're not wrong. No guitar is 6 dB too loud in a rough mix unless somebody actually abandoned it somehow. But they give me this, and my job is to take this and make it that. Not make it this, or like invent it. That's not the point. I mean, unless they ask for one thing, can you make this snare have more character? Sure, whatever. But overall, this is the point. And my processing and gain staging does this from the get-go. But then musically, I can decide what I need to do. So I wanted to just like insert. So we're somewhere in the middle. It's nice to have the information. I love telling them, can you print me stems and also send me the Logic session? Not because I want the Logic session, but I just want to take a quick peek. How are you thinking? Are you like a really smart person? Or are you a person who just piles on plugins and you can see by the settings that you don't quite know what they do? That's cool. Fine. We're all just making music, right? But I would like to know that. Can I undo your low cuts that you printed into your stems if I need to? This kind of stuff. But I don't necessarily mix into what they had unless it's like something that has a super, super, super fast turnaround. And even then, I would like to not do. Anyway, just I think we were like on three levels there, on three levels of approaches that are all great, but like slightly a hybrid of these three things.
Interesting. Ben Thomas, one of these days, I need to tell you my Pharrell story. Actually, my Chad and Pharrell story.
Oh yeah, everybody that's been around has one.
Oh my God. It is literally, to this day, in my entire career, one of my funniest, but I'm not gonna, you've got to kind of act it out. But I was in the studio with Cuban Link, who was in the Terror Squad, with like the Fat Joe camp and the Big Pun camp, and I was doing Cuban Link's album, and Pharrell and Chad were producing one of the singles for it, and they came up to meet him, and what happened next was, I could not believe my eyes. It was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. I'll tell you guys sometime. Anyway, yeah, memories. Let's see. Can we get some new questions up on Miro, please? Let me see what the chat roll has been asking. No new question. Okay. Chat roll, give us some questions if you guys have any for our esteemed panelists.
Richard, I
Boy,
do
we got
agree
a
with your saying
active.
about wanting the session though. And for me, it's not even just about recreating it. It's also like, I think that, especially now that a lot of people aren't necessarily making music with traditional engineers, at least in my genres, a lot of the traditionally engineering things get kind of left to the wayside, which is why I'm like, please give me the session, because that word is half cut off and it's not supposed to be half cut off, or
Right.
all of those breaths are cut in the middle and there's clicks all like, I'm like, give me the session. I feel like I've become half mixer, half editor at this point, which is fine. I love editing, it's all good.
Yeah,
And it
turn
makes
that
such a
distortion down a
difference.
little, turn that verb down a little bit, like things like that. If you have the
Fade that
session,
breath the right way.
yeah, but we want this like 2 hours ago type thing, so if we had the session, it's always better. If there's not a question right now, I would love to throw this out there, because I think Jeff is a perfect person to have in here for this discussion, but you guys are going to have great perspectives. I want to put this out in the ether and make this a little bit more of a talked about thing. Let's talk about points. I think Jeff is perfect. I brought Jeff up because typically in Nashville you're not getting points, but I would love to talk about this. I feel like this is something that there's not much discussion on, and of course, whenever there's some questions that pop up, please let us know. But man, as mixers, tracking engineers, vocal producers, even as a mastering engineer, you are putting your sonic signature. You are hired to do a job that changes a record. And yes, there are plenty of people out there that could also do a job that you are doing. But the longevity of your career is only so long. And yes, you can work much older if you care about your health. But one day to retire, you have to have something that continues giving you money.
Right.
You have to have something to sell, like a catalog. You have to have something without trading time for money, like a fee. And all of us who put in, I said I'm over 10 years of professional experience. I know you guys have more experience. We're giving the majority of the portion of our life to this craft. And tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars into our studio, our gear, our knowledge, our all of that. And I think that 0.5% of net receipts, whichever one the accounting is doing, is it should be so standard, and everybody that works on a record and puts their blood, sweat, and tears in this every day should be asking for that and not having, should not be afraid to ask for that and should get that, at least in the US. Now, I know territories
Right.
overseas, it's a totally different beast. But in the US, it's just like this should be so standardized for anybody working on a record. I want to hear y'all's thoughts. I'll just throw it out there first. I pretty much don't work on anything I don't get points on. I There are some opportunities that come to the table that are undeniably, yes, you got to do that. But
Sure.
I'm always going to ask, and 95% of the time, I will get that. I want to hear what your thoughts are on this, and let's make this a little bit more of a social norm to discuss.
Man, I would love points. I wish it was a thing in Nashville. It's so much not a thing that if you kind of ask for it or go for it, you kind of get laughed at. Where it's just like, no, we're not doing that.
Dude, you're a bad motherfucker, though. You are the guy.
So I've got points on some stuff when certain projects were split between me, Serban, and Alex, on the Kelsey stuff, but they came to the table expecting to give a point up.
Yeah.
So on those projects, I've been able to make it work. And there's a couple of newer artists where we took a lot lower of a fee. just on banking on the fact that like, hey, we actually believe in this and like we want to get like in on the ground floor, we'll do like a really reduced rate, but we also want a point. I have a couple of those, but it's hard because it comes out of the artist's side, and I don't know if
that is fundamentally the problem.
Yes,
Totally.
like if
Totally.
the
not to
label
cut you
came,
off, but that's the problem.
if the label came
without a
and said,
doubt.
yeah, we'll allocate even half a point from label side, half a point from the artist side, it might be an easier sell. But artists on a lot of artist deals, they don't even get that much to begin with anyway. So I almost even, I don't know, it's tough.
It's very tough.
I'm with you on the normalization, you know, this whole idea that somebody might be a hot mixer so he gets a point and somebody else is a not hot mixer might not get a point. I'm like, what are you talking about? If you were a songwriter, if you're hot or not, if you vote 30% of the song, you have 30% of the song. It doesn't matter, you know, like, and then hopefully it becomes a hit song. Okay. But like, I was like, everybody, and I like your idea too. A mastering engineer and a tracking engineer should have a part too, and it can be a little bit, like a tenth of a point. I don't care.
Totally,
but here's what we
100%.
don't want. We don't want to make Old Town Road and then have bragging rights that we mixed it for $1,000. That's ridiculous, you know. And even when the people, and nothing against Old Town Road, I don't know their deal structure. It's just like some money, and because you know everybody rich except for you, thank you very much, you know. And then the weird part about that is that you could even say something because I see this point. For instance, an independent would say, I don't have any money, I really can't do this, blah 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 blah. I'm like, bro, I got you. We can make a ceiling. You don't have to pay me anything until you make $100,000, $500,000. I don't care. Just when we hit that monster hit, please don't let me look like the person who didn't do shit and just say, "Oh, but I mixed that." Yeah, okay, that's not cool. It should be built in. That somewhere you should get that, or an elevation. They have that in the movie business, of course. You know. Just give us something, make it normal. Don't make it on reliant on how cool you are. Not you're doing the job. You could have hired somebody else. Then that person should get the job. Sorry, the back end. It doesn't have to be much, but just something so we can all celebrate when it really happens.
That last point is exactly right.
I mean, my experience with this is complicated because I've, similar to Ken, have wore 3 different hats very frequently. Tracking engineers don't get points. It's just what it is. It does really bother me because, I mean, like back when I was, living a different life than I was now. I mean, I legitimately worked from 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. probably 330 days out of the year. Like I gave the entirety of my 24, 25, 26, 27 to that job. Like everything about my life was given to that job. And it would frustrate me that a kid in the Netherlands could make a loop, never meet the artist, never been in the studio with them, emailed that loop to somebody else who also never was in the room, never met the artist, added drums to it. Then I recorded the song, vocal produced the song, arranged the song, mixed the song. And because I didn't press the keys on the keyboard, even though the entire of the arrangement was my idea, all the memorable effects of the song are my idea. And then I mix the song, but because I'm not a big mixer, they have to give it to somebody else to then take my version and make it a little bit better. And that person gets a point. The producers are splitting like 5 points. I've said this on Instagram post about somebody like selling their Emmy on Facebook because they didn't have any money. And I commented, and I was like, I have a wall full of plaques in my living room. And with the exception of one of them, every single one of those plaques cost me more than I made off the record.
Yeah,
that's
I have
crazy.
similar experience.
Like I paid more for those plaques than what I made off the song.
Why do you think I have digital plaques behind me?
I'm about to copy.
I saved $50,000, and if you guys want to meet my plaque designer, my digital plaque designer, who is absolutely incredible, I would be happy to connect you to her.
Please.
She's brilliant.
That's so sick.
The other thing about the point thing,
I mean, it's a little piratey, but fuck it.
That is complicated is the notion that it always comes from the artist side, and that's the thing that drives me crazy because these artists and producers,
because it always pits you against them. sometimes.
Exactly. And it's not fair because the label is literally keeping 80 to 85% of the points, and they're
Right.
trying
It's
to pit
gross.
us all against each other. And but I mean, for me, like, just a brief story, and then I'll pass it off. But I one of the records that I produced on Uzi's album is it's a cover of Chop Suey by System of a Down, right? And we weren't able to get clearance on the music, so I hired all my friends to replay it. You know, usual like I hired them as studio musicians. I paid them. You know, then I ended up, because I was the producer of the record because I put all that together, and I split my points with all of them because I was like, you guys
Sick.
did the actual work. I didn't do any of the work. I saw an email come through. I was like, oh, we can't clear this. Cool. Made a phone call, and that was it. And I was like, you guys deserve to be invested in this record. And so I split I split my points down the middle with all of them because that's,
That's
to me, is
awesome.
the
So,
right thing to do.
I want to let people know there's a couple different income streams that people like us that can sometimes tap into. One of those is called neighboring rights. And if you are a performer on a record, either a vocalist or a musician, not a songwriter, not a producer, just a performer. Well, the producers can get neighboring rights as well. Um, I have made boatloads on neighboring rights just as a performer. Usually, you don't make much unless you're on a big hit. But I've performed on like Uptown Funk and Power and Heartless, and the neighboring rights on those songs has been really, really significant. So if you were able to contribute as a studio musician and you can get yourself credited on that as a musician or a vocalist, like DJ Swivel has been brilliant at this. He sang on a bunch of the Chainsmokers stuff. I bet he made bank on neighboring rights. So that's definitely one avenue to consider. And if, especially the higher up the food chain you get, working with label artists that are already signed, it's hard for them to break you off a piece of anything for any reason that they haven't already decided before they walked into that room that they're going to give you. That's just kind of nature of the beast. Anything you can get, great, but don't ruin your relationships over it. Like, there was a moment where I had 10% of power right up until the exact moment that I had 0% of power. And boy, did I see so much money leave. And I could have pushed the issue and maybe still gotten my 10%, and Kanye would have never hired me again. And instead, I swallowed my pride and just, stayed on as a writer, but got 0% like most of the other people that worked on Power. And I ended up working on like 20 or 30 more records with Kanye after that. So, in the end of it, everything about this career is a balancing act between where you're at, where you want to go, and how much leverage you have in the moment to push yourself forward. And the one thing that I've always tried to maintain is, even if I have no work for a long stretch of time, I am never letting anybody know that I don't have any work, because everybody wants to work with the hot hand and nobody wants to work with the desperate guy who's begging you for work. So, always keep that in mind. Fortunately, work tends to find me, and I've been super lucky that way. But, shit dries up sometimes, and
Well, to summarize that in a way, if we actually normalize it, there's not a discussion if you get a point. It's just, I mean, or some point. Give me a discount, different story, right? But like that, asking for something. We're not asking for special treatment. We're asking for something that should be implied. A musician might get an AFM line, a singer might get a SAC line. Why do I need to think of my point? Like, no, of course, that's part of it. Bam, makes the negotiation easier, makes the actual contract easier, because the contracts don't need to be this complicated for this stuff anyway.
right.
And I think it would be better for everybody all around. Yeah, but I like your idea that maybe it has to come out of the whole pie, not out of the artist pie. Blah blah blah. Those are all good, great, fantastic points. But I think the creators all deserve it to a little part.
Yeah.
There should be no there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I just brought it out to put it more in the meta. If people just start talking about it a little bit more, not behind just closed doors. I think that it will be normalized over time, and it does take time. But I do think that everybody deserves to retire one day from this and not have to have socked away money or put it in the stock market or something, but actually put it in your career. And that's all I wanted to throw out there.
Love it.
1000%. Yeah, for me, I've kind of meandered through this career, partially as a mixer and partially as so many other things. But I've really focused more in the last 6 or 8 years on ownership of what I'm creating. Like, I've helped make so many fucking artists rich as fuck, and I get by, but I ain't rich, and the gold on the records is not real. And and it is still a grind for me, but I have found there's been times where writing and producing sync projects or just writing and producing for independent artists has made great money. It's also made zero money in other opportunities. So, but I've also found every time I did an independent project that just didn't take off, somewhere down the road, that experience or the people that I met doing it or the things that I learned paid huge dividends for me on a future project or helped me maneuver in some way in the future. That was just so incredibly valuable. And I think as creatives, you just got to know that not everything that you write and not everything that you produce or not everybody you develop or whatever you create is going to be good or great. And sometimes you're going to lose on the things that you thought you were going to win biggest on, and it's going to suck so hard. But guess what? We have all been through that so many times you have no idea. And you just got to pick yourself back up and be like, all right, well, that's not going to beat me. Next opportunity, where is it? And just keep going. And, if you're not self-motivated in this business, I don't think you can get to the levels that we get. Like, I don't think any of us need motivation to wake up in the morning and get in the studio.
No. I think we skipped by something that you said that was super duper important for everybody listening is everybody can feel and smell desperation. And when that creeps in, you just figuring out something else to do with your time whenever you don't have something to work on. I'm talking to the people watching this, like figure out another hobby or something else to put some love and effort and interest into that somehow will feed your soul so that you're not needing to feed it through making unnecessary texts and coffee and meetings happen. Because I'm sure everybody's been there. I definitely was there for a stretch of time, and now reflecting back on it, sitting here talking to you guys, I realize that desperation is it kills creativity and the magnetism for cool stuff to come your way. Whenever you're busy and you keep your head down, it just magically comes.
And it's really difficult when you're really struggling to look past where the shortest, quickest money is and look towards what are really the best decisions for my career moving forward instead of, the best decision for my paying rent. And sometimes there is no, like, you got to eat. So, but, whenever possible, you got to think like, is this the best decision for my career or am I just doing this for right now? And, that's a good way to kind of help you make sure that you're taking paths that you think are going to push you down the road that you want to go in.
There was always a quote that was like, you gotta step over the quarter to get to the dollar.
What is that?
I like that.
You have to step over the quarter to get to the dollar.
I love that.
Great.
I've done that many times.
Yeah, I think a lot of people today with needing instant gratification from things like TikTok and whatnot are all so short-term thinking about like right here and right now. And music, no matter which sector you're in, is literally never about today. It is only about tomorrow. Like if you're going to make a living doing this, it's only about tomorrow. It's not about today. Are you going to keep on doing this? I like that quote. That's really cool. Step over the quarter to get to the dollar.
And I think it also, the people I see in this that I know personally are the happiest are the ones that have a like robust life outside of this, because so quickly can
What's
become the
that?
entirety of your life. I know, right? I mean, listen, I'm criminal of this being the entirety of my life, but as I've gotten older a bit, I invest in the other parts of my life. It's been so great to see my friends in this, like, take their health just crazy seriously. Like, I love seeing how in shape Baines is now, and then seeing how
Crazy.
he's on everybody else to go to the gym and get healthy, and like, it's just so important, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
What other nerdy talk can we do? I don't get enough of the flexing of nerdy talk. I'm needing some with the boys right now.
Okay, I want to talk about the output clipping thing, and I
Yeah,
have
Okay.
multiple questions.
let's go.
Hit
Um,
us.
so you print with no ceiling, and then you have to export it as a 24-bit wave, and that process does the truncation, or where in that process does that happen?
Okay, to give everybody some context here, um, for a long, long time now, way back to my earlier like EDM days, people in Ableton have just been blasting out of the output. No limiter, no clipper, nothing. They're letting the DAW truncate the file, and it sounds really good. And I know you're probably sitting there thinking like, wait, why don't you just put a clipper on it and it's going to sound the exact same? A clipper with no look ahead, no oversampling, nothing, just a hard clipper. They do not sound the same. Print print both versions. One with you could use K-Clip 0. It's got no intelligence. It's just a clipper, and then blast out your output. Listen to both. The transients will sound different. The top end will sound different. The punchiness will sound different. So I got to thinking, like, why the hell have I been not doing this in Pro Tools? Like, why am I stuck in this mindset of like where most people are, and I'm not dogging on it at all, putting a limiter at the end of your chain to, stop you from blasting over. And I did it in Pro Tools, and I was like, holy shit. It sounds just the same as Ableton. It is way more punchy, way less pumpy, ducky, no artifacts. And there are two ways that I go about it. If it's a hard hitting, really punchy mix, there is no limiter. You will always hear pump, no matter what. It will be adding some kind of something. Or if the song is delicate and it doesn't want to have really hard transients, or it's just soft, I will have a limiter. I'll never use True Peak, though. I do not like the way True Peak sounds. So to answer your question, all you have to do is have a session that's in 24-bit with Pro Tools, and then you are monitoring what it will sound like as the bounce. Now, with my system, I have an RME, and it only works in floating point, which is so goofy, but it you can only monitor 32-bit output. Even if Pro Tools is in 24-bit, you will be monitoring 32-bit output. So what I had to do is take a SMPTE cable and write it back into the input, and I monitor that input. But with most any interface, as long as you have a session in 24-bit, you're going to be hearing the clipping. So let's say you have your mix and you do plus 10 dB after your mix bus, you will hear insane crunching. But if you back it down, like 6 dB pushing out of your master, it will sound so good. It will sound so punchy, free of pumping and transients. And if you work into that with literally no plugins whatsoever, you can hear the breaking point. And the breaking point, as we all know with limiters, will come somewhere in the low end, and it forces you to get a great balance because you will hear it break up where a limiter you won't. It's going to be sandwiching stuff down. So I think it's the future. I really stand behind just blasting out of the master, and not to just be loud. It's to not have the artifacts that come from a limiter unless you want that. I'm just saying that there are times that you absolutely want a compressor that is changing the groove with your attack and release, and same with the brick wall limiter. There's sometimes that you don't want any of that and you just want clarity. And that's my why. It's limiter because of this, or not because I don't want that.
Okay, so say I got my mix bus chain, and say I'm doing like a dB limiting. Then I'm going to put a trim plugin after that limiter and go up 2, 3, 4 dB, however much over 0. I need to print that in the actual session so I have an audio file. And then I export that file as 24-bit, and that will truncate it right then and there? Or is it never actually truncate it?
No, so first of all, I would remove the limiter unless you really want that limiter.
Yeah, say I want like a dB of packaging, or like a little bit of the like glue that you might get, but I don't want to hit that limiter 4 or 5 dB.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just want a little bit, and then I'm gonna clip the output with the trim plugin. But that session the session first off has to be at 24-bit. This will not work at 32-bit float.
So if you want to be monitoring what the clipping is doing, you need to be in 24-bit, or you're going to be listening to the floating point and you won't hear that. And then you're going to export it and you'll be like, oh shit, there's all this saturation on it. But my whole thing that I'm saying here is that get rid of the limiter. That 1 dB pushing into the output is going to give you that packaging gluing that you want. It's going to give you what you want from the limiter, but it's not going to give you the transient reduction that a limiter does. It will, if you A/B, I can tell you exactly what it does. One, your transients, let's say your kick and snare and hats and whatever, without the limiter will stand out. They will hit you in the chest, like truly. And then when you will turn the limiter on and you will hear if there's a wall of your kick and snare, it will go back into the track. It will sound like you reduce them a couple dB, and that's the difference.
So how as that translates to DSPs, has there ever been a danger zone of like, okay, I'm 3 dB over on my true peaks when I analyze the file, and that when it gets converted to Spotify or whatever, I can hear, like, is there a danger zone that you have to like look out for?
Absolutely not, because they're intersample peaks. That's the only thing that's going over. And how many times have you guys, been the final mastering engineer and you didn't use true peak limiting? It's the same exact thing, because you are truncating the file. You're still not having anything go over 0 except for intersample peaks. It's just like using a limiter without true peak. As far as the output. So, I mean, I have hundreds and hundreds of songs out there with 8,000 intersample peaks over 0, and they sound freaking perfect. I'm telling you, like, I think that forever we have been overthinking this, because at some point somebody said we had to have the limiter, or maybe the technology wasn't always where we're at today. I don't know, but it sounds insanely good, and I don't know. It's like neutering a song to me, like putting the limiter on, and unless you need a delicate song, and then you want the limiter. Sorry, Richard, what were you going to say?
No, I'm totally with you. I'm also glad that you're saying this, because I've been fighting with this, not fighting, like same thing. Like at the beginning, it's like, of course I can't do this. And then actually aforementioned Prince is like, can you just like, don't do anything, just punch it through. And I'm like, but that's wrong, blah, 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 this and that, the other, right? Now, it sounded great, and I love your description, because I used to have the same thing, like the clipping into a WAV file. It's almost like you go until here, and you hit 0, and that's it. That's the cleanest you can get. And any limiter, any soft limiter, any other limiter kind of rolls it off away from you at the very top. I totally know what you're saying. Now, I do have one question.
Yeah.
Let's say you have a 32-bit floating point session. That's still, there is no 32-bit point floating D2A. There is no such thing. So actually, if you hit a floating point into just a regular D2A, which is 24-bit, that should sound the same as just a 24-bit session. So this is something what I think Jeff is saying. Well, if we're doing 32-bit floating point, can't I just print it and then export it at 24-bit?
Yes.
Totally.
And that's the same
Yeah.
thing. And it would also, in monitoring, should sound the same. I feel it should sound the same.
I don't
Because
think
you
can
are
monitor
hitting
it, right?
24-bit thing. Hitting 32-bit into a 24-bit D2A one way or the other, doesn't matter how you get there, because there is no higher. So there should be no difference there. I'm not
Okay.
saying there isn't, I haven't tried, but it feels like there should be no difference.
Yeah, I mean, you could totally be right.
Anyway, I will try that again.
Yeah, dude, you could
Anyway,
totally be
no,
right
we
as
will
far as
all
the
go back and
monitoring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Jeff,
definitely
we
going to
need
go
try
check
it.
some of my mixes that I'm hitting limiter on with this and see how they might sound different. This is fascinating.
Me too.
Yeah,
And
man.
I think it just draws to another point of kind of what you said and something I think about a lot, which is like, how many things are we doing either because they made sense in a different world or because we were told? Like, on a much more simple level, this is how I feel about using sends when I'm recording. It made sense back in the day before I had an M2 Max computer where I could only run one reverb plugin, but I'm like, I don't really need this reverb on the send. It actually makes more sense and is easier to translate if it's just on the bus set up like with the wet dry when I'm recording, when I'm not really concerned about EQing the return or something, you know.
Yeah, I was just like you, like that mindset. I love putting verb right on a track. That is the Ableton brain in me where I came from. Dude, with working in K-pop, a lot of the times they ask for dry vocals, and because they're gonna do some like crazy trailer promo for an album or like some live show that they're just gonna like blast, it's gonna be crazy. Then you get stuck in this whole like, how can I print it dry now, because I can mute that, but then how am I going to get just the wet verb, which they also want? But
Levels will change when you did the wet mix and you just bypass it and now you level it. That's actually, it's outside of this, the handleability of your mix becomes harder when you plug it on immediately on there. Otherwise, I'm totally with Ben. Like if you're under control and it's maybe also not the very final today, hey, have at it. But there is this one thing, like now I bypass it, the vocal jumps up 6 dB. You didn't mean to do that. Now you have to chase your balance. Of course, we don't want that. That's really what it's for. But it doesn't sound.
Oh yeah, and in a mixed context, I still am using sends, even for throws. But when I'm recording, now all my throws are like audio tracks that are just 100% wet. Because for me, coming from the rap world, the whole point of recording in that world is speed and process. It is, sonics are like so far down the list as long as it sounds passable, which for most rappers is a low cut and a bunch of high end. Like as long as it sounds passable, the entirety of what I'm thinking about is speed and process and like how. I mean, again, with Uzi, we were doing 3 to 8 songs a night, and when I say songs, I mean like finished. And like when people hear that, they think like, oh, he rapped down. No, I'm talking like drops, arrangements, 2 to 3 verses, like choruses are being flown, and to the point where the process has to be so tight where like if let's say the bar is 16, let's say the verse is 16 bars, by the time he gets to bar 14, I'm already thinking that the hook, which wasn't actually the hook is actually just the first 8 bars that he happened to rap, have to be flown, because when he raps bar 16, he's going to want to do ad-libs on that next hook. So if that first 8 is not already flown over, it's like it's just all about process. So in that moment, it's like, I don't really care how this thing sounds. Like I'm not worried about that.
That's
it's irrelevant.
wild.
You just care that it sounds.
Exactly. Yeah. No. Those are literally 3 to 8 songs a night. I mean, one time we did this thing. We had this moment where we were doing this process that I really didn't like, but I think some people might find it interesting. Where essentially, if we would go and see a producer, you go to a producer, they're like, hey, I have these 10 beats set aside for you, and usually they'll play the beats, and the artist will be like, I like these 3. He'll be like, I don't want to hear them. Give me all of them. and then I would load up each beat in a session, and I had a template where I had four tracks in every single key. So there'd be like 4 tracks, and they'd be red, and they'd be in A minor, and then the next ones would be like, it'd just be in every single key, and I would load each beat up spaced out by 100 bars. So like one would start on bar 100, the next one would start on bar 200. I would analyze all of them, and it's like, okay, these ones are in C sharp minor, so I'd put the 4 tracks in C sharp minor below that beat. Oh, this one's in A minor, then I put those ones there, and we would literally do a full song, and he'd be like, go to the next one, and I would like do the shortcut to jump to bar 200. We'd do the next song, and then after 2 hours, we'd have this one session that has 12 songs in it, like
Damn.
12 finished, full, like arranged everything in one session.
That is another level. Holy cow, man.
You got a big brain over there, dude. I don't know if I could keep up with that.
That's dope.
Awesome.
And
That's
then
really
afterward,
smart.
you have to go back and you have to like import copies of each song to make them their own session. But yeah,
Oh
it was
my
just,
God.
it'd be like this
It
30 or
has to
40
be
gig session.
transparent to the artist. They don't care.
Yeah.
Make it happen, and they're not even mad or not mad or whatever. They're just like, you made this solution for them. This works great. Like for me, like with Tyrese, all of a sudden I had to like record all his vocals to a click track only. He's never recorded anything to any song for like the last 12 years. And I'm like, this is not my way of working, but this is what the artist feels like. This is what I want to do. And boom. And you give him that solution. That's what makes you great in that role.
That's great.
We
Great
stopped
insight.
doing that because I was like, yo, it's taking me an hour to set this up, and I can set up one session in 2 minutes.
Mhm.
So it's not worth the hour it's taking me to arrange this. We might as well. It literally takes me 2 minutes to go from song to song. So let's just keep doing that.
So
Dang. That's cool.
Crazy. Well, we're winding down. We're actually, wow, it's 10:05. Before we bring this to a close, does anybody have any last thoughts? Anything you guys want to let the community know about that you're working on or doing or going to be a part of?
Man, I think that all of us are probably so busy that we got our heads down, and
Yeah.
like I'm already thinking like what client is mad at me overseas right now because I've been on this.
I feel the same way. I'm hoping to be down in Nashville for the AES convention and hoping to see Jeff Braun and Casey
Yep.
Sable down there and a bunch of my Nashville friends.
When is that?
So
October.
I think, like late October.
Yeah, I think it's like Halloween weekend.
Oh, of course it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm planning on being down there for that. So hopefully I'll get to see a bunch of my friends. Anybody that's watching that's going, look us up. Other than that, I'm hoping to be out this weekend in Indianapolis to see the Canton Bluecoats at the Drum Corps International season finale. I got to produce them last in June for Anushka Sen featuring the Canton Bluecoats. 76 horns playing in perfect tune. The whole arrangement, oh my God, it was religion. And 24 drum line just in perfect rhythm. Those guys are just incredible. So good luck, Bluecoats, this weekend. Hope you guys do great. To all of my esteemed panelists tonight, thank you so much. Your insights were just so incredible. Had a great conversation with you all. And September is going to be Audio Educators Roundtable. And October, I think Mixing Night, we're going to do a live recording from the recording studio, set up a full band, mic them up, and then show and tell and talk about it and have them perform. And then November, we're back with another Pro Mixers Roundtable. We got John Marie Horvat, DJ Swivel. I'm hoping Jesse Ray Ernster joins us. And who was the and Cohen Heldens is going to join us as well on November 4th. So, man, do I have some incredible talent coming up. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks, guys, for a great night of conversation. And we'll see everybody next month on Mixing Night. Take care.
Wait.
Thank you, Ken.